Hey guys, gals. There we go. Alright. Check 1, 2. Let me know if it's too loud, if the mic's the wrong level. We'll see how it goes. A little drone going on here. There we go. This is proper. I don't know if it's truly proper, but I'm going to call it proper Yorkshire tea. With a little salt in it. Because that's how you do it. We can discuss. Thanks, Audrey. Just going to drone for a minute. I don't have a place to put my tea. Here we go. Ugh. Oh, hit the camera. Poor planning. Poor planning on my part. There we go. That's fine. So here's something you can't do with a stock Matriarch. There we go. Let's see. So who's visiting today? So we got Audrey, Craig, Davi, Dr. Cynthio, Eric, Moriel, hey, Lamar, Music Smurf, my case, Niall McDonald. Well, it sounds familiar. If you've been before, welcome back. Raider Rich, Soup, nice Marilyn, Andy, Synth Samurai, hey. Let's see, the Wookiee, Tracker Jack, Tracy, thank you, Tracy. Let's see, and Lamont, nice. And if I missed anyone or you just popped in, I'll catch up with you. Viral Beats, hey, Casual Noises, Will D, Neil Wharton, a few others, let's see, Tracker Jack, etc., etc. All right, cool. And if I didn't get to you, I will call you out if we interact. We'll put it that way. So, what are we looking at today? Let me see. Let me remind myself what you're seeing. Okay. So, the Matriarch. Some of you know about this project. It's been going on for a long time. I had a Matriarch for a few years. Love the Matriarch. And I bought it knowing that because it's semi-modular, I was going to add onto it at some point. And that kind of happened back in January when we did January of last January, which I'm not doing January this year. Taking a break. But and then over the course of the year, once before I sort of built out, in my total pendulum swinging nature that is modular, right? Not in modular, into modular, not in modular, whatever. It's like the tide, right? I finally got to the point where I'm like, okay, the collection shifts, the Matriarch's never leaving. I like this as a canonical sort of Moog, the pinnacle of Moog's mother line, right? And it's arguable whether the Muse is now the new pinnacle, but that's okay. And I knew I wanted to build it, so I went looking for someone who made a nice enclosure. Everybody likes the wood cheeks. and I knew I was going to add a modular enclosure to it and to add things. And I had been experimenting all year because there's some things that I want out of the Matriarch that it doesn't provide, but it provides you the ability to add on to it, right? Semi-modular and whatnot. So there's some things that I want the Matriarch to have that it doesn't have. So Matriarch has 4 analog oscillators. They're Moog oscillators, right? But harkening back to the big modular Moog days. I don't have all the specs. You can go check Jorb and things like that as far as like what specific model of filter it is and things like that. I'm not that much of a wonk. I don't get into the circuitry so much as other people do. I like the sound and I like the playability. And so one of the things, there's some gaps in the Matriarch. The Matriarch doesn't have any wave folding capability by default, right? And so I want a wave folder in my Matriarch somewhere. Also, I want some digital oscillators. I like the analog oscillators, but there are digital oscillators that do really interesting things sonically, timbre-wise, and so I know I want to shoehorn a few digital oscillators in here. And really, that's where I'm stopping for this first pass. I'm saying I want to get some wave folding in here. I want to get some digital oscillators. I want to get more modulation, right? It's got 2 filters. It's got 3 LFOs. I need more. I want a few more envelopes. Two envelopes, 3 LFOs. I want more envelopes. I want more LFOs. I want some function generators, right? I just don't want the standard sine, square, triangle, LFOs. I'd like some that do interesting things. So that was the goal. Let me spew about all this, and then, oh, by the way, if you have a question or you want to highlight something, please tag me in the chat, or put a big Q. If you're on mobile and it's a pain in the ass to tag, put a big Q at the beginning of your question, and then I will try and pull them out. I don't have an assistant who's like scanning the chat and queuing up questions for me. So I wanted these things. So what you can see, and I apologize for the camera work, it's not great, but I will zoom in a little bit. Actually, let's do this. Take a screenshot if you want to know what's in here. These are the modules that were added, okay? And I'm going to go back to the live view so I can point at things. So, all right, so here we are, okay. So the things of note that I've added are, I've added 3 digital oscillators. I've added 2 of these braids, okay, from Mutable Instruments, although these are from Tall Dog Electronics. They're micro braids, little clones. And then I've added a Vert Interlegio, which is, I'm using as sort of a drone, a bass oscillator, right? So I've got these 3 digital oscillators shoehorned in here. We'll talk about how in a second. And then I've got a couple wave folders. I've got 2 of these Fold 6s in here. And these are like flavor VCAs, sometimes they're referred to. They're wave folders that have a VCA built into them. So you can use them both as a wave folder to add timbre, change the timbre, or add harmonics to your stuff. But you can also use them rhythmically as like a VCA. You can send them, a pulse, a sequence of pulses and things like that to open them and do the folding at the same time. So I don't have a demonstration of that today. That may be next week, but you'll hear what these, I'll do some wave folding and you can hear what they sound like. But basically what's happening is there are 4 oscillators in the Matriarch, the 4 analog oscillators. The Matriarch's filter, let me go back to this view. All right. The mixer for the Matriarch has basically 5 channels. It's got noise and oscillators 1 through 4. Okay. You can override what's going through these channels. By default, it's oscillators 1 through 4 and the noise source goes through the mixer. What I'm doing is I'm taking the analog oscillators and I'm taking them in pairs, oscillator 1 and 2, and it's coming out, and those 2 signals are being mixed together up in the modular and run through a wave folder. Okay, let me actually show you what that sounds like. All right, so if we bring this up, and the nice thing about the Matriarch is you have, when you're using it by default, you've got a separate mixer channel for each of the oscillators, so you can turn like just one oscillator on if you want to. I didn't want to lose that capability, so I'm using, and you'll have to forgive me, my modular selection is basically the leftovers that were in my closet. I did not go out and spend more money on finding exactly the right, most efficient module that does exactly what I need. This is called jury rigging. I am using things that I can use to get the job done. So I'm using a quad VCA VC mixer as a 2-channel mixer. It's very wasteful, right? So oscillators 1 and 2 from the Matriarch itself are moving into this VCA mixer, into channels 1 and 2. They're being summed together and then run through a wave folder. So let's see, let's just listen to oscillator 1 here. And let's turn off our reverb for a second. All right. And let's make it a nice little square wave. We'll open our filter up. We'll turn the delay off for a second. Well, leave it on for flavor. So, one oscillator, square wave. It's going into the, actually, let's make it a triangle. All right. So it's, this oscillator is going in, and it's being summed with oscillator 2. All right, so there's both of those. And they are running into a wave folder here. All right, in the wave folder, we open the filter all the way up. Everybody, yeah, I mean, the sound of wave folding is pretty ubiquitous, right? Everybody has heard a wave folder. That sort of timbre shift. It's a little bit like sync, you know. I don't have an oscilloscope to show you guys what it looks like, but you can go Google wave folder and modular, and you'll see lots of examples. I'm sure Loopop has one. But I wanted that option for timbres, and so I've summed oscillator 1 and 2 together and running them through a wave folder. All right. Let's see. Questions? I saw a couple. There we go. My mic is too hot. How's that? Better? How's that? Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Is the mic too hot now? Let me know. So what are you running into the wave folders? I'm talking about that right now. So mic is better now. Okay, thanks, Greg. All right, thanks for the feedback. Let me know. So basically, the two analog oscillators 1 and 2 from the Matriarch get summed together, and they get added and run through the wave folder, right? Which we can then modulate as needed. A bit like sync. This particular wave folder, the Fold 6, is got an overdrive in it as well. It's nice. I'm not reviewing components, right, for the most part, but and so that happens twice. Oscillators 1 and 2 get summed and run into a wave folder, and oscillators 3 and 4 get summed and run into a wave folder. So there's 2 wave folders in here. All right, those come back out, and they get put into the mixer into channels 1 and 2. So on the front of the Matriarch, what's on the mixer, the oscillator 1 volume knob is actually the volume of oscillators 1 and 2 plus the wave folder. Okay, and then oscillator 2 volume knob is the volume of oscillators 3 and 4 plus their wave folder. Okay, so I still want to use this mixer. This mixer overdrives nicely. Okay, and what that does then is frees up the oscillator 3 and 4 channels, and what I've got running into those are the digital oscillators. So each of these braids runs down into its own oscillator 3 and 4. So if I bring up oscillator 3, so this is this left-hand braids. And the reason I wanted a digital oscillator, one of the reasons, is so I can do things like, right, put a wavetable oscillator into the Matriarch. So we could set up modulations to start doing those sort of like PPG kind of sounds. Let's turn the big ass reverb on for a second. I'm adjusting wet dry with my toe. Right, so that's this, the left-hand braids oscillator is currently a wavetable, all right? And then the other channel 4 in the mixer, and you could, you know, braids is a very flexible digital oscillator. You can set it to be lots of things. Right now I've got it set as a sync. Actually, here we go. Let's turn the reverb off for a second. Right, and this is a square wave. This particular oscillator configuration is a square wave that is being synced, and I've got it synced by an LFO up here. Anyway, so everyone knows the sync sound. Now the Matriarch can do, its analog oscillators can do hard sync as well. And I haven't lost that ability, but I'm just using it as an example here as well. So let's see. All right, cool. No other complaints about the mic. All right. And so what this does is it lets me take the Matriarch that I love and add a few things that were gaps that it had that I wanted to fill. So now I've got the ability to apply a wavefolding to the Moog oscillators. And then I've got 2 additional sort of general use, broadly flexible digital oscillators here. And then I've also got, because the channels of the mixer are full at this point, I could use the noise channel, but I don't want to lose the use of noise. These are actually running out of here. Normally they would run directly from the mixer into the filters on the Matriarch, but I've rerouted them temporarily. Everything leaves these filters and goes into a little teeny IntelliGel 3-channel mixer over here that I'm running the Vert Iter Legio oscillator as a bass sort of sub oscillator in there. And that, if I put this out, let's see, let's do this. All right, so that's oscillator 1. And let's bring the Vert Iter in. If you haven't played with modules from Noise Engineering, they basically have a bunch of different platforms. So you buy a module that is a given platform, and then they'll have 3, 6, 3, 5, 8 different firmwares you could put on that turn it into different modules. Like so, the Legio, here is the Legio platform. I think there's 5 different firmwares you can load, and 3 of them are oscillators, and one of them is like a delay destruction folding unit and things like that. And so I've got this set up as one of the more sort of plain stereo bass oscillators. Here's the Legio by itself. And it's stereo. It has a really nice 3-setting chorus in it. That's no chorus. not going to run through all the settings, but chorus setting 0, 1, and 2. So I like to be able to mix that in under things. So there's 2 Moog oscillators. So what I'm doing is effectively broadening the palette of sounds I can harness inside the Matriarch platform itself, right? And that's my goal. And so far, I'm having a blast. I'm really happy. I knew 6 months ago that I could do this. I've proven that this worked with all of these oscillators. Thanks, Andy. And so now it's really just a matter of getting it installed in a nice case, formalizing it. So if you watched the stream last weekend, the salon, the round table, one of the things we talked about was system building versus music making, right? And I asserted that I myself personally love both of those things. I make music, but I also just as much enjoy making music systems. And it's a spectrum, right? You don't necessarily have to do one or the other. What one person considers a system building, another person can look at that and say, well, that you're making music still, right? And that's fine. But from my perspective here, I'm building a system because once this is patched, I won't change the patch at all except for modulation. So the what's showing up at the camera? Okay. So the lower half of the rack is oscillators and sound sources. So oscillators and mixing for the most part. Okay. The top is modulation sources. So the bottom, this sort of spaghetti nest of, this is like the what is it? What's the divide between the connection between the left and right halves of your brain? Corpus callosum, or something like that. All these yellow cables down here is the corpus callosum of the Matriarch's system that I'm building here. Okay, so all these connections are routing oscillators to and from the mixing and from each other and getting them back in the system, running them back in the filter. That's this sort of back and forth that's going on here. So this is a system that I've built that's really not going to change. Okay, but the top is going to be filled, and I can add more, is modulation, right? So 3 more envelopes, a few more function generators, LFOs. And so I will patch these as needed, and I will run a patch down to, manipulate some property on one of the oscillators or one of the mixers or things like that. So Craig asked, do you keep patch notes or just recreate as needed? Well, so the corpus callosum part is not going to change, right? But I'm actually holding this in my head like I recreated it this morning because I know what I want to do. The shape of the system is, I have that in my head. It sounds complicated, and it certainly looks complicated when you look at the wires and stuff, but it really isn't. If you were to draw it on a piece of paper with boxes and arrows, there would be like 4 boxes that are the Moog oscillators, and then the mixer that they connect to, and then the filter that comes out of the mixer and that goes into there. That's the stock Matriarch sort of flow box diagram, and it's in the manual actually. And then what I do is I drew in my head the same drawing, but I added 3 more boxes of oscillators, and then I added an extra 3 channels of mixing, and then basically connected them on paper in my head, and that's easy to remember, and so I just did it. And then once it's patched, I don't change it, right? You tweak a thing here or there. It's always moving a modulation source and destination. Like, so the modulation matrix is in wire. And like this is clock from the system. Down here is basically like, the expression slider is being mapped here, and I might move that around where it's being plugged into, or aftertouch. Aftertouch currently is going nowhere. But if I wanted to move it to the filter or change one of the oscillator properties, I would run the cable, basically, like make the entry in the modulation matrix, basically. But yeah, but this is a system I've built, and so I get I get a giggle out of building the system as much as I get out of making the music. So like last night when I was putting this together, and then this morning when I was sort of finalizing the system, I was super happy. And then I sat down and started making some noise, and then 3 hours went by, right? So the music making part of the using the system is still just as important and still just as much a draw, right? The system, once the system's built, I'll probably leave it, barring making little changes in the modulation. And now it's going to be explore sounds, explore musical ideas, things like that. And we'll see where it goes, you know. Let's see. We're quickly zipping through the chat. Andy, design a system, jam practice with it, tweak, jam practice more, record. Yep, make people buy it. Exactly. Profit. It's the underpants gnomes technique for using modular. Yeah, so there's lots. So if you took a screenshot of when I had the modular up on the modular grid version of it, I'm sure there are modular gurus who will be offended by my choices here, because they're like, well, that's an inefficient use of this, and this is a waste of using that. And it's like, I know, but I had them on hand and I didn't want to go buy something else. So that's what it is. Over time, this will get refined. And if I can find, a single module that does the work of 3 modules here effectively, I might sell these and swap it out, right? And we'll see where it goes. So Wookie asks, do you get concerned about socket tiring if left patched? I don't know what socket tiring is. Is that like corrosion, Wookie? I'm not sure what that is. And so I've been in modular for on and off for 15 years, and I've never had a socket go bad. I don't live in we live in a house with, conditioned air, right, and low humidity. So I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but we'll see. You want to make some music, Audrey? Okay, we'll start a drone going. Let's see. Let me just check for questions. Oh, and then you added please. That's okay. All right, let's do this. I'm going to talk over it a little bit. All right. There you go, Audrey. Something for you. Let's see. Module snobs. There are no module snobs. No. Let's see. Let me get caught up here. Let me start something running again. Want a little drone underneath while I read this stuff. Let's see. Where were we? Looks like Tracy has been elected emperor. Cool. So, Wabbit made a Cool Hand Luke reference. That's good. I'm old enough to remember that one. I'm pre-Star Wars. So. Sorry, Onyx. Yeah, no January this year. I just got too much going on. That's all. If I do January this year, it's going to be purely in the box, basically. No hardware. So I'll think about it. Let's see. What else we got here? Just scanning. Audrey says, seeing you play an experiment, I dig that you were 3 hours further than we played earlier today. Yeah. Getting there. So let's see. You guys are talking amongst yourselves. That's good. Come on, YouTube chat. Scroll for me. There we go. All right. That's about it. All right. So anyway, so let me wrap this up. And then there's a couple things I wanted to mention, and then I'll make some more noise. And I'll reset, and we'll go back to less drone, and we'll play something. We'll do maybe a tiny bit of sound design. There's a couple things I want to throw out there, though. So let's see. There was a shout out. Where is the shout out at? I don't know. Hang on a second. Hang on, guys. Is that one? Yeah, that's the one. Okay, hold on. Okay. Just a quick shout out here. I want you to see this. Okay, so another channel. So if you go to the Synth Seeker channel, there's a listing of like friends and family, right? And it throws out to a bunch of things. I haven't updated it in a long time. I just wanted to throw out this. My buddy, the Midlife Synthesis, he's in Chile. We have the same birthday. It's really weird. We're like brothers, almost separated. We have a bunch of things in common. And he injured his shoulder on a scooter, I think. He had an accident, basically shattered his shoulder. And so his channel is really fun. I like it a lot. He does a lot of synth reviews. He does a lot of thoughtful, sort of thought-thinking pieces. If you don't know him, go check him out as a favor to me, just because he's kind of down right now because he's fighting sort of clinical depression because his day job is he's a dentist, and his shoulder is going to prevent him from being a dentist, at least in the current capacity. He's a surgeon. It's very Tony Stark, like he got in an accident, instead of being in a sports car, Lamborghini or whatever it was, and losing the use of his hands, he fell off a scooter and lost the use of one of his arms. So just give him a visit and just give him a shout out or a thumbs up or something. And then the other thing is, this is in response to a shout out I got last week. I'm giggling because this may be an acquired taste for some people. If you were, as a child, into the World Wrestling Federation or any of those sort of wrestling, bombastic, over-the-top, sort of bigger-than-life TV sports things, go visit this guy. So go visit Synth Samurai. In many ways, he and I are very different, and in some ways, we are the same. Like his, I'm pretty sure his politics and mine are completely separate. I'm pretty sure a lot of his views on, culture are different than mine. But the one thing we share is we both love synthesizers. We eat and breathe them, right? If Kellogg's came out with a breakfast cereal in the shape of little synthesizers, I would be on it, and so would he, right? So just if you want to engage in a community that is over the top crazy, we're talking Wrestling Federation, that's their thing, Karate Kid, Bloodsport, Kumite. If you want to go have an exciting time, go visit Synth Samurai. Look at his videos. He's definitely got a shtick that he's going on. I've never met him in person in real life, and I suspect he's a lot more mellow than his persona. But much like what's the guy who does slap? So every time I go to the Synth Samurai thing, I think of I want Slim Jims because of the wrestler who sells Slim Jims. Snap it to a Slim Jim. That's what it's like. Going into his community is like walking into a room full of pro wrestlers who are all like trying to be the loudest one in the room. But the thing is, they're all obsessed with synthesizers. So check it out if you want. It may not be to your taste, and that's fine. But it might be something that you're like, this is a gold mine of entertainment. So check him out. He's a good guy. I think his intent is pure synthesizers. All right. So anyway, so I had to do those two shout outs, right? Randy Macho Man. Savage. Randy Savage, right? That's totally Synth Samurai could be channeling that, right? Slim Jims coming out of his ears. Hey, Biscuit. Banana Rider. Hello. Wabbit. A few other people pop in here. Studio 8FX. Hey there. Let's see. If I don't call you out, I'm sorry. It's just because the scroll is quite long and it doesn't want to scroll very well on my touchpad. Anyway, so let's make a little noise. Oh, the other thing, there was something else I want to talk about. Oh, here's the nerd. We always try and get a movie reference or a nerd joke in there. So the Behringer K2 is an MS-20 clone. All right, and I have one, and I like it. It's good. And I had an MS-20 years ago, and the K2 sounds a lot like the MS-20. It sounds enough like it that I am satisfied, and I've got the K2, and I'm like, I don't need to buy an MS-20. I can buy other Korg synths. It frees up a slot, right? But the thing about the MS-20 is, in order to tell it what MIDI channel it needs to listen on, there are some dip switches on the back. There's 4 dip switches, and it's binary, right? and I'm a software engineer during the day, and this is a stupid mistake. And you will all, those of you in the same situation may understand it. I set the MIDI channel on it, and I couldn't get it to. It wasn't working. It was like it wasn't receiving MIDI, and I'm like, I know I set the channel right. It's on channel 4, right? And I'm setting it and things like that. It was an off by 1 error, right? Because MIDI channels are 1 through 16, and the dip switches are 0 through 15, and so I was off by 1. And I just found that wryly entertaining that the software engineer is making a really stupid mistake when it comes to assigning MIDI to the K2. So, and for those of you who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, that's okay. It's like trivia. So, I know what a nibble is. Yeah, it's a half a byte, right? What is it? 8 bits in a byte, 4 bits in a nibble, and 2 bits is 25 cents. So yeah, I totally know that, Craig. That was in the jargon file like 30 years ago. All right, let's do this. Let's shut all of this droning off, actually. And let's pull everything back down and make things kind of normal here. Let's do a normal Matriarch kind of sound. Classic, you could say. You can calm down. All right. All right. We'll make everything sawtooths. Little or big endian. No, I'm not going there. I had a roommate who had a deck of PDP 1170 in our dorm room. And his girlfriend plugged in a toaster and we blew out the circuits for the whole floor. So. All right. He like salvaged it from the trash. It's like, I can make this work. He had the big washing machine drive as well. It's crazy. Too much glide. Hang on a second. There we go. Sort of classic Moog. We're running out of time. I see that. Soar. Hey, does anyone in the Soar family know if they're going to roll at 3 or are they going to roll at 3:30? Sometimes I cut out right before 3 and then they push it back for something. But lately they've been on time. Does anyone know? Let me know. Engage giant reverb. And now let's bring in that sub. Yeah, symptoms of reality. Yeah, are they adjusted today? We're going to go live in a minute. Okay. Then I will shut her down. Well, thank you everyone for hanging out. Hope that was entertaining. So this is the Matriarch. I am going to continue to evolve it and it's rolled into the sort of analog corner here. So this will get rolled back in with the K2 and the Minotaur and the Sub 37 and the Mini Moog, and then later I'll go back to actually like making music and doing performances. So this is an aside. I don't normally do like let's dissect a synth kind of videos, but this was that. I'll probably chop this up and turn it into a video just because people want to know about the Matriarch. So thank you everyone for showing up. Let's see. Can you post a link to their stream? Yeah, I can actually. Let's do that. So if you want to go look at Symptoms Reality's stream, it is bonkers. It's not as over the top as Synth Samurai's, but it has a lot more poop jokes. Less wrestling references. Let's see. That is Symptoms of Reality, which is their stream today, which starts now. So enjoy. And I think that'll do her. Rich, good to see you. Let's see. I don't see any other questions. Okay, I'm going to sign off. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you next Sunday. I'll see you on all the Discords between now and then. And I actually feel pretty good today. I think I was psyched up to do all this, and it helped. So I'm also on serious drugs. So that's what it is. Thanks very much. I'll talk to you guys.